This is Rob Carbone, and you're listening to BD4.
Here's Barrett, some shake and bake, hits a three. That's eyes in the crowd with Barrett. 5 on the 24. Barrett previously in the air ball. The drive, the land, knocks it home. Gets it back, keeps it out. Barrett for three. RJ Barrett from downtown. Quick trigger three. Gets another triple. Looking for more. Up to the buzzer. Now it's gone. Smith from way downtown at the buzzer. No one could overlook. Puts it in. They're on their feet at Madison Square Garden. Elliott to Ewing. That'll make the Garden war.
Patrick Ewing faced a double team, but still was able to hit.
Finish. And the foul. Easton ducks under. Got it. 1 8 left.
So, let's see. The Yankees are out. The NBA Finals is officially over. The New York Giants are absolutely garbage. What is there for me to do? It's like we're back in March. It really is. I don't have anything. I don't have anything anymore. The Lakers literally just won. And as much as I hate the Lakers, LeBron James in particular, I do have to admit, and everybody should really admit, that it's a good story. With everything that happened in January on the 26th, with Kobe losing his life, what a way to wrap up the NBA season. Doing it for him. So I think that's nice. And I'm sure they're talking about that tonight. I'm watching the pregame, I guess, celebration. But yeah, man, it's gonna be difficult for me these next couple of months until the NBA revamps. I think they're doing it late December, the earliest. So I've got nothing once again. We're down to 0. We're back where we were in March. At the start of quarantine, where I was saying how you really don't realize how much time you invest in sports until you miss it, until you don't have it. So, round 2. Oh man, I didn't catch the entire Lakers game, but I saw some of the second half. I was kind of switching back and forth between that game and the Seattle Seahawks game while taking notes for tonight's podcast at the same time. So I didn't see too much of the Lakers, but I think LeBron James is winning the Finals MVP, if I'm correct. I don't know. But it didn't seem like it was a great series. It was very boring. Yeah, the Heat did take them to 6, but when they were down 3-1, it wasn't like it was a close series. It wasn't tight-knit the entire way. The Lakers had some cushion. It was very boring to me. I didn't really get into it. Couldn't get into it. Maybe it was because I was watching a lot of the Yankees, and that was on during the same time a lot of the time, so I didn't see much of it. But the parts I caught didn't seem to be too exciting. And hey, the Lakers took it. Speaking of football, I do have some bucks on the Seattle Seahawks game tonight. I have Wilson for over 350 passing yards, and I need the Seahawks to win as well. Probably a bad night to do so, being that it's 13-7 Vikings in the second half, and when I was watching the game, it looked like it was starting to rain, so that may hurt me in terms of getting those passing yards. Wonderful. It was a decent payout, too. But, fuck it. Yeah. Is AD getting the MVP? I don't know. I'm just watching. They're showing AD now. I don't know if they're doing the awards yet. Man. Hey, Jimmy Butler gained a lot of my respect. He really did. He had a hell of a series. He had a hell of a postseason. Playing really good in the bubble, even. He took his heat all the way here, and he should be proud of that. But he did lose in the end. I didn't look at his numbers. I don't know how he performed tonight in Game 6, but he's got the killer mentality, And that Heat team is not going to go away. I don't think this was a one-hit wonder. This was no fluke. They've got a lot of young talent They've got some solid shooting, wings, and then some good defensive players as well. They're very hungry. They're very passionate. They play competitive basketball. I like that team. Fuck. No sports again for me. I have UFC, but that's once a week. I love watching MMA. Did you guys see that fucking kick last night? As I'm recording, it's Sunday night, October 11th. But on the 10th, Saturday, that fucking kick, it was some dude, I don't know who it was, Buckley, a spinning kick to the fucking schnoz, and he knocked the other guy out cold. It was probably the greatest KO I've ever fucking seen. And I'm so mad because that was the one card over the last few months that I decided not to watch. I didn't know any of the names. I thought it would be a boring card. But of course, the one time I miss it, I see the fucking highlight, and it's one of the greater, if not the greatest, knockout in UFC history so far. I mean, fuck. It was beautiful. But I tell you, you gotta have some loose screws to be able to fight MMA. That shit's scary. Some people don't even like looking, let alone watching that shit. All right. Yeah. I got nothing to talk about. Nothing else to talk about before we get into the episode tonight. So episode 164, a little Knicks offseason draft talk, and talking about, I guess, some of the hirings and Tom Thibodeau, and fucking there's not much that's going on obviously right now. Teams at camp. Tibbs is doing camp in the New York bubble, I think. The bubble's in New York. The one the Knicks are in, I don't know. But fucking, it's going to be a few months before we get underway, so we still have a lot of things to figure out. If we're going to make any off-season acquisitions, if we're going to draft anybody, with that number 8 pick, anybody, that we haven't heard of before, because we know the Knicks can throw curveballs here and there. So we'll see. And we'll talk about, a little bit of everything, I guess, tonight. First, we're going to head to break, and I guess when we get back, we'll get started. All right. All right, fellas. So, really quick, I just want to remind you that if you haven't subscribed to my podcast on the many different platforms that I'm on, you can do so right now. And all you got to do that is go to my website. Just go to nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect. Once again, in order to subscribe to the podcast and listen to the podcast or watch it on the many platforms we have, go to my website at nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect. Yeah, that's fucking it. That is it for sports. Gosh, this is going to suck, guys. This is going to be so bad not being able to watch a single fucking thing for the most part. Now, with the Knicks, there's not much. Why is my screen's all fucked up? It's my ever since so here we go. Got it. The software I'm using is fucking laggy ever since I updated it. It's supposed to be the opposite. What the fuck? Yeah, I mean the Knicks don't have much going on, but the one thing I guess I want from this upcoming NBA draft, which I've heard so many things, I don't even remember. So much going on. I don't even remember when the official date for the draft is. It might be in December, maybe November. I don't even know. But the one thing I just want the Knicks to do is if they get their draft and it seems like a decent pick, it's one of the names that, most Knicks fans like, or it's a name that isn't out of the blue, can we not trade him away? Can we not just be typical Knicks? Because we know the Knicks have, they have a reputation, for trading away all their draft picks for a sack of potatoes, right? That's why everybody laughs at them. So can this time can we keep this? Can we fucking start a foundation here? Can we keep our draft picks, the good ones at least, and try to build something, try to improve them instead of just getting rid of them if they don't show promise right away? We have 3 selections this year. So we're in a very fortunate position, more fortunate than we've ever been. Now, I understand this year's draft is not that deep, but 3 is 3. You got 2 first-round picks, 1 early, 1 late, and then you got the second rounder. So you hope that with a new scouting department, or some new guys coming in like Walt Perrin from Utah, who's developed a really good franchise over there for 2 decades, and then you got some a new assistant coaching staff. New player development staff under Tom Thibodeau with his new assistants. So you hope that can help this new team, this Knicks team, kind of get where they need to be and select the right guys in the draft and help grow these players. Because Lord knows, Hornacek, Fizdale, Miller, none of those guys really got the job done in terms of acquiring or reaching their goal, which is to develop these players properly. The young core, Barrett, Robinson, and the guys around them, they didn't really grow properly. You had Julius Randle out there spinning in the post and turning it over and taking unnecessary off the dribble jump shots. You had, Bobby Portis clogging Randle clogged the lane. You had Portis chucking up 3-point shots from the top of the arc every time he got the ball, or just doing that stupid hook shot. On the other end, neither of those guys play good defense. You had Taj Gibson getting starting minutes over your promising young center, one of the few good young players you have, not even getting starts because Taj Gibson got them. You had Elfrid Payton out there playing starting point guard over a guy like Frank Ntilikina, who's very controversial in New York, but I think most of us should admit he should have at least been starting to see what he's got to try and improve. You can't just start a veteran point guard who's already reached his ceiling in Payton when you're trying to improve a young squad here. A lot of times Payton would just exclude other Knicks like RJ, and he would just single-handedly take it upon himself to just pass between him and Randle a lot. And that was annoying to watch the other Knicks like RJ just stand outside the 3-point line waiting for the basketball. That was annoying. So you hope the Knicks, have these things in mind when they're acquiring players this offseason, whether that be in the draft or in free agency. There's some talent out there too, in free agency at least. There's, you got a lot of veteran shooting out there. We've talked about Joe Harris in previous episodes. We've talked about Danilo Gallinari, bringing the Rooster back home. We've talked about Davis Bertans. Some people don't love the Bertans idea because they feel like the Spurs let him go for a reason. And having him go to Washington with creators around him may have made him look better than he actually is. But, my response to that is I'm pretty sure he was over 40% from 3, even in San Antonio. And that's what he's going to come here to do. I understand he's not the most multi-dimensional player. He's pretty much just a catch-and-shoot guy from really deep who's got range. But, the Knicks aren't in a position where they can be nitpicky. I wouldn't hate signing a guy who could shoot the ball because pretty sure he would immediately be their best shooter far and away. So they need some veteran shooting to surround Barrett with, right? Because we know Barrett's not a shooter yet, and maybe he won't ever be. That's a big question mark in his game. But to get shooting, not only helps the Knicks as a team, but it'll space the floor for guys like Barrett to have more room to do his work. And we know he likes creating with the ball in his hands. He loves to play bully ball and attack the rim. And this will help him play like that, open up the paint. He generated a lot of free throw attempts. We've seen flashes of him being a good finisher. So I think that's a possibility if the Knicks can go out and acquire shooting. Get guys out there who can shoot at that 4 position and not just have Randle playing the 4, hogging the paint and hogging the ball in the paint. I think that's very important. Very, very important. There's been Victor Oladipo talk. I'm not the biggest advocate for that. I don't know. Older, he's not old, but he's not young either. I think he's 29. Obviously now coming off the Is he? Let me look at his age. Coming off the big injury, though, that's also a concern. How old is Victor Oladipo? I don't know if he's 29. Let's see. He's 28, and he will be 29 in May. So, yeah, he's 28 years old, coming off a scary injury. Don't know how he's going to be. Don't know if I want him. It will probably take a lot to, and it might not be the most realistic trade. There's been talk of, a lot of people want CP3, veteran leader. I'm not a big stopgap guy. I want to get to the point. I don't want to waste time with shortcuts that aren't even going to be here long term. I'm the kind of guy with this Knicks team. I just want guys to come in here and be here. And I want guys who are going to be part of this long-term plan. Now, I understand it. I understand the want for Chris Paul. Get a good veteran in here who can maybe help guys like Frank, and help RJ become a better shooter. And somebody with experience, somebody who's won games before. And so maybe that's going to help. And, that'll stabilize the point guard position and make the Knicks more competitive of a product to watch. But, yeah, that's about it. The contract is very ugly. And I just don't want a stopgap. Simple. But there's been talk of that. Fred VanVleet, which that's kind of grown on me more and more over these last couple of months. Originally, I was against it. But he is young. He is proven now as, he's proven to be a pretty good point guard. He's putting up all-star type numbers. People were talking about trading for Bradley Beal. That's probably going to take either a Barrett or a Robinson and a lot more. I wouldn't be opposed to that, honestly, but another one that seems very unrealistic to me, if anything. The Julius Randle trade talks have been going on ever since this guy's been acquired. I don't know if we're going to waste too much time on that. But again, Randle's not a guy who's perfect for this team. That contract isn't great. It's not as bad as people make it seem to be, but it's still not great. I just don't like somebody like him on this team because of the way he plays. Randle's a guy who should be a sixth man on a good team, not the number one option on a bad team like the Knicks, right? Because, the issue is, again, you're trying to develop RJ. You're trying to develop Mitch. And when you have Randle taking 15 plus shots a night and, hogging a lot of possessions with ball time, RJ's playing off the ball too much. He's not going to be able to create, and he becomes a spot up guy, which he isn't. You don't have Mitch getting the amount of lobs he should be getting, and the paint is clogged, and, he's a poor shooter. It just doesn't mesh well with this unit. And I think using Randle more as an off-ball option, somebody who rolls out of P&R, that would be wonderful. But I just don't see that with the Knicks because they don't have they don't have a point guard. They don't have a point guard who could properly run that, those sequences with somebody like Julius Randle. And I just don't see it working with Randle. The defense is a joke too. Free throw shooting, those late game mishaps with the turnovers. It's just a mess, really, with the way he's turned out so far. Yeah, the numbers were good, but those are, very empty. That's what you call empty production from fucking Julius Randle. Let's head to break and we'll get to more when we get back. Hey guys, if you haven't yet, please go to my website and subscribe to the podcast. Just go to nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect. One more time, if you haven't gone to my website yet, just go there to subscribe to the podcast. nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect. fuck? What do we got now? I'm going to check the Seattle Seahawks game real quick because I need to see what's going on with everything. Yeah, it's 9. Oh, the Seahawks are winning 21-19. Now, see, that's huge. Now, if I can get them to win, and I need to check, let's check on Russell Wilson's passing yards. Hopefully, he can rack up 350 plus. That'd be huge. Get my my boost. I mean, have an odds boost on fucking DraftKings that I could potentially win now. Let's see. How do I look? Box score. So they are winning, and Wilson has... Oh, fuck me. He's 14 out of 14, which is wonderful, but he only has 116 yards. Well, that's not good. Yeah, he's gonna have to go off in the fourth quarter. Damn it, man. That fucking sucks. How is he 14 for 14? Wow. Must have been a lot of little short passes. Well, whatever. So this draft that's coming up, there's been a lot of... I don't want to get too much into talking about the guys that the Knicks could potentially draft. Because we really, if you guys remember, during quarantine, we went deep into, the draft prospects and picked apart a lot of them individually in each episode. So I don't want to get too much into the scouting department again, but a couple of guys, now that we know the Knicks are taking number 8, bearing they trade up or down, people are talking about a couple guys I hear are Tyrese Halliburton and Devin Vassell. I don't remember how to say this guy's name. Vassell or Vassell? That's going to be rough, but we'll start with him. We'll start with Devin. Now he's an athletic 3-and-D wing. We talked about him on the podcast before. If you go a few months back, you'll be able to find that episode. Just go to my website for that. And touchdown Seahawks. Oh, he dropped the pass. Damn it. But Devin is an athletic 3-and-D wing. He's a 20-year-old kid from Florida State, the Seminoles. 6'7", 194 pounds, got a 6'10" wingspan. Again, a good player who plays both ends of the floor. I think that would be good with the Knicks. An NBA-ready player, I think. I think he's a guy who can be ready upon entering the league. Not going to be a star. The upside may not be tremendous, but he's going to be good out of the gate. He'll be an NBA product out of the gate because of his ability to hit the three and play defense with a lot of energy. While Russell Wilson just overthrew another one. There's 26 seconds left in the third, and the Seahawks need to go up by a little more for me to be comfortable with this lead. But he's a solid option for the Knicks at number 8. Again, fucking much needed shooting efficiency. Spread the floor for somebody like R.J. Barrett, that would help him. And with Randall out there clogging the paint, this would also help spread out the floor. And we just need players that want to play. We don't seem to have many players that want to fucking make that grind. And Devin Vassell is somebody who fucking makes that grind. He's a high motor player. He's not going to slack off or lay back in the weeds. He will be aggressive and he will attack. So I'm tired of projects. I'm sure you guys are tired of projects, and I think an NBA ready product like this kid would be good. Players like him are usually NBA ready. And he seems like a Thibodeau pick, right? Again, with the motor, the defense. It seems that he's somebody Tom Thibodeau would like. And the consensus, actually, is that he is into him. I saw a report the other day saying Tibbs and the Knicks were interested in drafting this kid. Again, not a ton of upside, but at 8th in the draft, where the class is not very deep to begin with, it's tough to hate on anything at this point. He'd be a good replacement for Knox. Does Knox continue to flop like he's done so far? Slide him in there at the 4. He can play the 1 to 4. I know Knicks fans prefer Devin Vassell over a lot of other options out there. A lot of people like this kid over Halliburton, even over Kyra Lewis. So he's an athletic 3-and-D wing, elite defender, can play one-on-one ISO defense very well. I think he was 81st percentile last year, this past season, in points per possession and isolation. He's got fucking good lateral quickness, so he's able to turn his hips well and slides very well when he's guarding in one-on-one scenarios. Again, a high motor, but also a high IQ. He's a smart player. He rotates well. He stunts and recovers. He's good on the ball defending, but he's also good off the ball defending. A good help defender. A defensive playmaker with those quick hands and good reflexes and instincts. I think in college, per 40 minutes at FSU, he averaged 2 steals and 1.3 blocks per 40. So good numbers there. Very lengthy, and that length, that wingspan of 6'10", is going to help him disrupt the passing lanes. It's going to help him at the rim, being a shot blocking threat. And again, just being a good help team defender. And on the other side, he's an efficient 3-point shooter, right? This is somebody who was 7 for 168 for FSU, which was 42%. Now, that's a low volume, but the efficiency is great. He's got a high release point, so it's not easy to block. He's got solid footwork on the jumper. It doesn't look awkward like it does with Halliburton, who we'll get to in a second. And a good spot-up shooter, a good shooter off pin downs, somebody who can catch and shoot very well. He was actually 87th percentile in jump shot and catch and shoot jump shots this past season in the half court. Off the dribble, he does need work, but one staggering number I found, I'm going to read off here, is he only had 1 field goal off the dribble as a freshman. 1 make off the dribble as a freshman. But in his sophomore year, that jumped all the way to 39 makes off the dribble. So he went from 1 to 39 in buckets off the dribble. So that's a pretty big jump. That's a good indicator that he's improving in that area with his shooting off the bounce. And again, that length, that athleticism provides him, a lot of versatility. He can, it allows him to defend multiple possessions. So you're hoping that the NBA level, does he continue to grow, somebody like Devin will be able to defend positions 1 to 4, right? Which is what we were hoping Kevin Knox would be, but so far he is far from somebody like that. Now we get to the negatives on his game. The ball handling, kind of limits his scoring versatility. Most of his scoring is going to still come off the ball, again, in pin downs, off spot ups. Not going to be your primary playmaker, right? You get somebody like him, he's not going to be your point guard of the future. He's just going to be a good player on the team. Does he pan out? The strength, only 194 pounds, has to get some muscle in there to be effective at the NBA level. And because of that, his finishing at the rim needs a lot of work. He can defend the guards in the smaller wings, but once he gets, to the bigger forwards, the small forwards, the power forwards, the more traditional ones, he's going to have trouble defending them and kind of keeping up with them in the post. Defensive aggressiveness, we mentioned he's a good playmaker, but sometimes he can gamble a little too much. But again, I would like taking this kid at number 8. I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't be mad. You get a guy who's NBA ready. He can hit shots, and on the other end, he can prevent shots from going in. That's what the Knicks need. They need a lot. They need a lot of things right now, but those are 2 really important categories that I think Devin Vassell excels in. And again, I apologize if I'm saying this kid's name wrong. It's been a while since I've watched a scouting report of him. A couple months ago was the last time we dove into him, so I apologize. But let's get to Tyrese Halliburton as soon as we get back from break. Be right back.
All right, fellas. So
Really quick, I just want to remind you that if you haven't subscribed to my podcast on the many different platforms that I'm on, you can do so right now. And all you got to do that is go to my website. Just go to nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect. Once again, in order to subscribe to the podcast and listen to the podcast or watch it on the many platforms we have, go to my website at nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect. Tyrese Halliburton, interesting player, right? He's kind of similar to a little similar to Devin Vassell in a way, where he's 6'5", 175 pounds, and a 6'7.5" wingspan. So he's got some length, got some size and length like he does. But Halliburton is more of a glue guy, point guard, more of a guy who does a little bit of everything. I like him. He's 20 years old as well. He's very young, but here's the thing. I also think he's a safe pick that will be ready right away. I don't think he's going to take a ton of time to get used to the NBA. I think he'll be impactful upon impact as well, upon entrance into the league as well. I don't think he's going to take plenty of time. I think he'll be somebody who can do it right away. Good passer. That's one of the things a lot of people like about him. He's a very unselfish passer. He operates very well in pick and roll. Obviously, that would work really well when you're thinking about him and Mitchell Robinson potentially as a pair, right? You pair those two guys together on the floor, that's immediately an improvement over when you have, fucking other guys on the floor with Mitch, like a Bobby Portis or a Randall or Knox. You have Halliburton, who's very good as a passer and even better than Peyton. But you have Halliburton. I think he would work well with Mitch in a pick and roll scenario. And Mitch is somebody who obviously rim runs a ton. He rolls at a high volume, very effective on the roll. Halliburton's also a good transition player. He excels in transition, especially as a passer. His head is always up when he's dribbling, and he always finds the open man that way. So he's efficient overall as a passer. He averaged 5.4 assists per 40 minutes overall in his freshman and sophomore season, and that was versus just 1.8 turnovers per 40 minutes. So very clean, very efficient numbers there as a passer. Now he can shoot the ball too. He can pass and he can shoot. Passing and shooting are huge from a point guard standpoint. He was 101 for 237 in college. That is 43% from deep. And it's in particular where he thrives is the catch and shoot. He was ranked in the 97th percentile in terms of scoring off catch and shoot. He's also got a good in-between game, good mid-range J, a good floater. And he's just, again, another player like Vassell where he can, he's very versatile with that length, with that athleticism. It's going to allow him to defend multiple positions. Does he continue to grow? It'll also help his finishing ability, which is, going to be an impact. What do you call it? Going to be an importance in the league. Defense. He is a good defender. He's got a high motor, just like the other kid. He's got, again, the wingspan to be active in the passing lanes. He's got good instincts as well. Good help defender. And then we get to the negatives, right? And they're kind of similar, but I think with Halliburton, it's especially concerning to me when you look at his awkward-looking jump shot and, on top of that, poor handles. That's a major concern to me, right? How is he going to score when he's not catching and shooting? And on a Knicks squad, when you don't have that distributor, to set him up in perfect spots consistently, how is he going to really be successful on that team, right? He would thrive in places like Golden State. I don't think he would thrive on the Knicks. That's why I'm kind of leaning towards Devin Vassell, because I don't fucking think Halliburton would be great here with no creator around him. He would be the creator, but he can't create for himself. I mean, technically he can, but he can't catch and shoot his own fucking pass. Somebody's going to have to create for him because he's not a great shooter off the dribble. He's not. He's not a great shooter off the dribble. He's got poor handles, right? He's not going to be your primary creator. Nor your secondary creator because he's not a guy who dribbles well. He can't. He's really struggled scoring off the bounce in isolation. He was 28% in isolation scoring from the field. 28% field goal percentage this past season. So he's not, so you take his awkward looking jump shot and his inability to really, handle the ball at an above average rate. That's concerning. How else is this guy going to score? Nobody's going to create for him. He's a catch and shoot player when he scores. It could really get ugly, So he's somebody I would take if the Knicks already had a distributor, but they don't. So that's my biggest knock there. That's my biggest knock. And then you have the frame, only 175 pounds, a buck soaking wet, so he can defend the guards and wings, but like Devin Vassell, the fucking bigger forwards are going to give him a lot of trouble. So my overall outlook on this kid is, again, he's a solid option at number 8, but not somebody I would love. Brings shooting efficiency, helps RJ. We need guys like that who are going to play with energy on the defensive end and shoot the ball and be glue guys. I get it. He's not a project. If he pans out, he'll probably not be a project, which is fucking great. But I just don't love that idea. The pedestrian handles and the unorthodox jump shot, just as a point guard, very yikes. People have compared him to Kevin Martin, Kmart, who averaged 17 points in a lengthy career and shot 38% from downtown. I get it. There's always that chance that he could be one of them, but how many? It doesn't always mean it's going to happen for the next guy. And I just feel like when there's another option who can do both, why not take that guy? That guy. But there are other fucking guys besides these two that the Knicks could take. And who's to say these two even fall to 8? They could be taken earlier. And who's to say on the flip side, Cole Anthony or a Killian Hayes don't drop to 8? That could happen too. Maybe we'll discuss those guys a little more. But I had discussed all these guys before in previous episodes. Again, this is nothing new. If you're a religious listener to the podcast, which I'm sure nobody is, but yeah, those are the two guys we discussed. But man, I just hope the Knicks are a better product this next season, and I hope that they can not only find a way to be semi-competitive, but more importantly, get these young players to start improving and not staying neutral, and give shot attempts to the guys who need their shot attempts, right? So let's head to one more commercial break, one more little break, and as soon as we get back, we will get to the NYK question of the day.
All right, fellas. So really quick, I just want to remind you that if you haven't subscribed to my podcast on the many different platforms that I'm on, you can do so right now. And all you got to do that is go to my website. Just go to nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect. Once again, in order to subscribe to the podcast and listen to the podcast or watch it on the many platforms we have, go to my website at nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect.
All right, so last time on the show, in episode 163, I asked you guys who made the last out? Who made the final out for the Yankees in the 2017 postseason? Who made the final out for the Yankees in the 2017 postseason? The answer to that question is Greg Bird, who flied out to center, I believe, against Houston. that was the answer to 163. Now, episode 164 for our NYK question of the day. Obviously, now a Knicks question, being that it's a Knicks show tonight. So tonight's question in episode 164, who led the 2019-20 Knicks in steals per game? Simple. Who led the 2019-20 Knicks, so this past season, who led the Knicks in steals per game? Message me the answer on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Not on Twitter much nowadays, so preferably Facebook or Instagram, just DM me. Or you can comment the answer once I publish the podcast in the comment section. Guys, thanks so much. This is Rob Carbone. This is your host, Rob Carbone, with episode 164 of BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. So tune into the podcast. You know, we'll be doing episodes sporadically, I guess, for the meantime. Not much is going to be happening for the next couple of months, I guess, right? Being that there's no more baseball, no more Yankees, being that there is no more basketball, and being that the Giants are absolutely awful. We don't cover them anyways, but so I'm going to be doing nothing but watching UFC once a week. So the podcast, the blog won't be too busy over these next couple of months. I'll try to have episodes out, you know, as much as I can. I don't want to make them repetitive or boring with not much going on, you know, but we are going to slowly transition to the Knicks, right? So over these next couple of months, if I do put out episodes, they're going to be about the New York Knicks, most likely, because that's where we're kind of shifting now, as we do at the end of every season, and the start of the next. So, guys, again, thank you for tuning into the podcast. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast, go subscribe to the podcast right now. Go to my website, nysportstalkrc.wordpress.com/connect. And then subscribe there. That will take you to a fucking page that displays all of my information. The many platforms of the podcast. Shit, the fucking Vikings are winning again. That's good. Damn it. The many platforms of the podcast, as well as the 3 social media sites that I host, that I post the podcast on. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. That's all I've got for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and I will see you when I see you. All right. I'll see you next time. Ciao.
This podcast is sponsored by Anchor.